we're going to suggest for people to electrify their apartment building today is to use electricity monitoring devices. And if you're looking for a company that that's up on the boardwalk to chat to about this, or at the back of the room here, LME Electrical are a company that are doing EV charging infrastructure retrofits for apartment buildings, and they've got experience installing watt watchers, electricity monitoring devices, and SMAPI electricity monitoring devices. Now, what are we going to use these monitoring devices for in an apartment building? There's a bunch of different things, but at the moment, you're not an empowered consumer of the house services electricity in an apartment block. Most of the time, if you live in an apartment block, you don't even see the electricity bills unless you request them from your Strata manager. Electricity bills just go to the Strata manager pays them, and once a year you look at your financial statement and you see the sum of all the electricity bills, and you're not really an empowered, proactive manager of the energy in your building at that level. If you install one of these electricity monitoring devices on, say, the main feed into the building, all the electricity that comes into the apartments and the common areas in aggregate, then you can see where the peak point of the entire year is, and you can see that can help with knowing, well, how much capacity do we have left for charging electric vehicles, how much capacity do we have left for installing a heat pump into the building, etc. And the other thing, there's building Harbour Lights that also did that process of decommissioning a central cooling tower, and they were able to sort of get a measure on what the load was on the building before they went through this decommissioning process of the central cooling tower, and then you can see it afterwards how much you've saved. So you're getting a picture. You're able to manage. If you can't measure something, you can't really manage it, and so that's why electricity monitoring devices are really good to get in place. Whether you want to do solar, whether you want to do heat pumps, whether you want to do EV charging, or whether you just want to measure and get a better idea of how electricity is used in the building. So here we are again, and by the way, all these maps, these Google Maps are available. You just Google Electrify Strata North Sydney, and you can have a look at and click on the drop pins and see which of the buildings have installed these electricity monitoring devices. So the ones in purple have installed electricity monitoring, and they're from the two different companies I mentioned earlier, Watt Watchers and also SMAPI. And there's also a building in there that's used PowerPal for measuring an individual apartment. So that's another device that's used here in North Sydney. So the PowerPal is, you can see that over there, that's more for measuring your own apartment consumption. If you've got a smart meter, you can't use it if you've still got an analog electricity meter. But in Thrupp Street, there's a building where an individual has installed this on their own apartment meter. And this is an example of the Watt Watchers ordered 6 device. So Harbour Lights in Nelson's Point, they're one of the buildings that installed electricity monitoring. 267 Miller Street, North Sydney, just opposite the park where the Noodle Festival is, installed electricity monitoring. Port Jackson Tower at Nelson's Point installed as well. 25 to 27 Barry Street in Neutral Bay, Tim Pross's building. Has also got the Watt Watchers devices installed. And this is 13 Truck Street, and it's fantastic when you go to one of these older buildings, and like this is a building from 60s, a walk up, and then you walk in and they've got like brand new smart meters for every apartment in the building. Fantastic brand new meter board, and this is actually the PowerPal installed. You don't need an electrician to install it. Someone's just put it on their own apartment meter. They've got a mobile phone app and they can see how much they're consuming and manage inside their apartment. And Wondakaya Stage 2. Jerry's got a couple down there as well.